Hi, I'm Hobie1. This is Red Chair Reading. No Red Chair again today. I'm out on location. Once again, we are reading the Black Book of Secrets, Chapter 13. So, let's go. Fragment from the Memoirs of Ludlow Fitch. Thus ended my first long day with Joe Zabadow. It was after 2 when Obadiah left, and Joe stood at the door and watched him go down the hill into his cottage. He waited until the lights were extinguished and the place was in complete darkness before coming back in and locking up. I stayed at the table staring blankly at the closed book, my mind spinning at what I had just heard. Now I understood. It's a book of secrets, I thought, and Joe is the secret pawnbroker. It was difficult to believe that Joe had allowed me to touch such a book, let alone write in it. How I desired to throw it open and read it from cover to cover. What other tales of desperation and despair would I find in there? I could hear Joe moving around in the shop and talking to the frog. Quickly I opened the book, flicking from page to page, and I read the opening lines of one confession after another. My name is Eleanor Hardy, and I cannot live with my lies any longer. My name is George Catchpole, and I have a most shameful secret. My name is Oscar Carpoo. In a fit of mindless rage, gripped by madness, That was all I managed to read before Joe came whistling back into the room. I snapped the book shut and jumped awkwardly to my feet, knocking over the chair. "Let us see how you have done," he said, ignoring my confusion and taking the book from the table. I watched nervously as he examined what I had written. "Excellent work, boy," he said, placing the red ribbon on the next clean page and closing the book. I doubt I could have done better myself. A sudden burning flushed my cheeks. I was not used to praise. To cover my embarrassment, I pointed to the golden words on the cover. "What language is this?" Joe's face lit up. Latin," he said, "the language of precision. What is spoken flies. What is written never dies. Remember those words, Ludlow. People believe what they read, whatever the truth of it." Joe held up the book and spoke quietly. "The stories we have in here are very precious to their owners and, as a result of monetary value, to others. They have confided in me, confessing their deepest secrets, and it is my duty to protect them. Wherever I go, there is a criminal element, loyal to no one, who would pay well for this and use it for financial gain or worse. But these confessions have been trusted to us, Ludlow, and we must not speak of them outside the room." Joe did not seem to be including me among those criminals, but just then my hand felt something cold in my pocket, and my heart skipped a beat. The timepieces! I still had them. He must not have noticed they had gone. I resolved to return them as soon as possible. I nodded solemnly. "I can keep a secret," I said. "I believe you think you can, Ludlow, but I also know what it is to be human. Temptation is a curse to all men." "I can do it," I said firmly. "Just give me the chance." For a moment I thought he might say no, but he laughed and said, "What is life if you don't take a chance now and again? I knew a fellow once who only made decisions on the toss of a coin. Should he get up or stay in bed? He tossed a coin. Should he eat or not? He tossed a coin. He lived thus for nearly 2 years until he was struck down by illness. So he tossed a coin to decide whether or not to send for the physician, and the coin said yes. And he was cured? Well, unfortunately for him, the physician was not the best. His diagnosis was somewhat awry, and the medicine he gave was rather too strong, so the poor chap died the next day." I didn't understand what Joe was trying to tell me. "You see, Ludlow," he explained, "life is a gamble, whatever way you play it. Now where were we?" He patted the Black Book of Secrets, and his tone became more serious. "Of course, if you are to work for me, there are a few things you need to know. First, we always start on a clean page. I make it a rule to go forward, never to go back." He smiled knowingly and stared into my eyes. He knew I had looked in the book. And second, when we are finished, we must keep it somewhere safe from prying eyes. I watched as he put the book in no more safe a place than under his mattress. What sort of test? Was he tempting me to steal it? As I continued to stare, he asked me a curious question. Do you believe in luck, Ludlow? I thought about this more than once in my life. I believe some people are luckier than others, such as those who are not born in the city. Joe laughed. Ah, yes, he said, but a most unfortunate birthplace. Most born there die there, but you have managed to leave. Then I must be lucky. He shrugged. Perhaps it is not just luck. Maybe it was destiny herself brought you here to me. Destiny? More like my own 2 feet. Then I asked him, which do you believe in, luck or destiny? Joe considered for a moment before replying. We make our own luck, Ludlow, by our actions and our state of mind. As such, you control your own fate. Only one thing is certain, none of us can escape the grave. Then he surprised me further by handing me a shilling. Although it was unexpected, I took it. For a job well done, add it to the other coins in your purse, he said, and winked. I went to bed soon after that. When I heard Joe's snoring, I felt in the crevice behind the brick for my purse and dropped in the shilling. Then I settled down again, wrapped up in the cloak. Sleep evaded me, for my mind was restless. I turned over and thought of Obadiah and Jeremiah Ratchet. Poor Obadiah! He was right to be disgusted at himself. Grave robbers and body snatchers were considered below contempt. What a cruel irony! For a grave digger to have to unbury the dead. As I pitied the grave digger, my contempt grew for Ratchet. He might have brought me to the village, but that was more luck than design. An hour passed, and still I was awake. My mind was thick with confusion. I knew that had Ma and Pa been here, they would not have thought twice about hitting Joe over the head and taking the Black Book of Secrets. As for the bottle on the mantel, that would have been downed long ago. They would have expected no less of me. My instincts to lie, to steal, to cheat were bred into me practically from birth. But here, in Pagus Parvis, with Joe, they seemed wrong. I lay in agony of indecision. My conscience tried to stop me, but I am ashamed to admit, despite Joe's kindness to me and his warning, I gave in. How could I be expected not to do what had come naturally to me my whole life? Oh, if this is interesting to you, please be sure to boop the like button. If this is interesting to you, please be sure to boop the like button. You'll help the video spread to other people. And thank you very much. Carefully, I eased the book out from under his mattress and tucked it in the crook of my arm. I wrapped the cloak around me and crept through the shop. The frog watched me with accusing eyes, and I could hear Joe's deep and noisy breathing. I was surprised to find that the door to the street was unlocked. I pulled it open and stepped outside. It had all been so easy. Not a floorboard had squeaked, not a hinge had creaked. Snow was falling lightly, and a glow fell on the street from the lights in the windows. Like last night, most of Pagus Parvis was still awake. If I went now, I could go down that hill and never be seen again. Suddenly, I felt the timepieces jarring against my leg, and I stopped. I laughed quietly at my own stupidity. What was I thinking? It was the middle of the night. The middle of winter. Behind me was a warm bed and food and someone who seemed to care for me. Ahead of me was nothing but white snow and bitter cold. I hurried inside and placed the timepieces back in the window. With a shaking hand, I slipped the black book back under the mattress, willing Joe not to wake, and crept over to the fireplace. As I curled up beside the orange coals, I chastised myself. It was hard to believe that only a day or so ago I had been in the foul city, living the precarious life of a common thief, and facing, at the hands of my own parents, a terrible betrayal. Yet here I was, now earning a living, and one more mysterious and exciting than I could ever have imagined. Ludlow, I said to myself, you are a fool. I looked at Joe, fast asleep, and I knew whatever happened tomorrow, and the next day and the next, I never wanted to go back to the city. I might have to live with my past, but here, with Joe, I had a future. That's the end of chapter 13. Thank you very much for joining me. I'll catch you again in chapter 14. Okay, bye.